Registered Dietitian Nutritionist Day is celebrated on the second Wednesday in March during National Nutrition Month and increases awareness of registered dietitian nutritionists as the indispensable providers of food and nutrition services and recognizes RDNs for their commitment to helping people enjoy healthy lives. As we prepare to celebrate Registered Dietitian Nutritionist Day, we have some truly special guests that I would like to welcome to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence. Emily Kusiak is our menu system administrator for Cura Hospitality. Kim Case is a registered dietitian supporting several accounts in our southern region, and Joe Herman and Beth Letter are regional nutrition managers. All of these guests are registered dietitians and have a combined 96 years of nutrition and wellness experience. They will share their insights on some common nutrition myths we often hear. First, I would like to welcome Emily to Cura Conversations. Well, thank you for joining us today, Emily. Why don't we start by having you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks so much, Michael, for having me. My name is Emily Kusiak. I am a dietitian. I live in Mississippi, been here my whole life. I've been a dietitian since 2016, about 9 years. Just a brief background, started out as a menu system specialist for a couple years, moved over to an acute care role for a few years after that, moved into long-term care, a bit of behavioral health before coming into my current role with Cura as a menu system administrator. And I've been with Cura for 3 years now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing about yourself. We are going to jump right into it. You know, one of the myths that we hear is around calories and, these calories from this food are better for you. These ones are worse. So, are all calories created equal?
Okay, so that's a good one. Out of all the many nutrition myths that are out there, right? This is definitely one of the more common myths out there. So a calorie itself is just a unit of measure used to measure energy, but our bodies do not digest and metabolize all foods in the same way. So calories to our bodies are not created equally. The actual source of calories is what's important here. And when I say sources, I'm talking about protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So after we eat, our body has to use energy to break down and absorb the food. And the amount of energy used to do this is going to depend on that said source of calories. And this is what we refer to as the thermic effect of food. You've probably heard that eating meals high in protein can help you feel full for longer, and that's because of this thermic effect. The body requires more energy to digest protein than it does carbs and fat, and because that's taking longer to digest, you're going to feel full, you're going to feel satisfied for longer. And then hormones are another thing to consider here when we're talking calories. Different foods affect your hormones, which can in turn impact your hunger and your cravings. So, for example, let's take a look at fructose. So, fructose is a type of sugar added to lots of processed foods as a sweetener. Most people have for sure seen high fructose corn syrup on a label. This is what I'm talking about. So, fructose from research has been shown to lead to higher levels of ghrelin, which is a hormone that can make you feel hungry. And so, fructose leads to higher levels of ghrelin, research says it can. And fructose also doesn't stimulate the satiety centers in your brain to tell you that you're full the same way as other sources of calories might. So, speaking of satiety, those different types of calories have different impacts on our satiety or our feelings of fullness. So, like I said, with the thermic effect of food, foods high in protein help us feel fuller. And it's also important to call out fiber here. Fiber isn't digested or absorbed by the body, but instead it's going to help you to regulate your blood sugar levels, help you feel full for longer, provide some volume to your diet. So I'll give an example here. If we chose to eat a yummy Krispy Kreme glazed donut as a snack, it's delicious, but you're probably going to find yourself feeling pretty hungry soon after and ready for the next thing, right? Because it's just a calorie-dense snack, not much else going on there. But if we chose something like Greek yogurt with maybe some fresh fruit on the side, and it's the same calories as that donut, we're then going to be getting the benefits of some fiber, some protein, some vitamins and minerals, which are great. And we're going to end up feeling full for longer because that's a nutrient dense snack and you're going to feel satisfied for longer. So, no, all that to say, calories are not created equal. But if you're trying to be more mindful of your calories, I would recommend just first to focus on eating more whole grains so you're getting that fiber, fruits, vegetables. Definitely reduce your intake of processed food and make sure you're getting in your protein at each meal.
Awesome, and thank you for sharing that. So, on another myth is around detoxes and cleanses, and we know that these are a little bit of a in trend right now. So, are they necessary for someone to do?
Yeah, this one's good. I think we've been seeing these detoxes and cleanses going around for a long time now and can be a real pain point for me. I think I can speak for a lot of other dietitians. Whenever we just see products being promoted that just claim to, and I'm doing air quotes, detox your body or get rid of toxic waste, when really they're just money grabs, right? We don't need these detoxes or cleanses because our body has a built-in detox system. And part of that is our liver, our kidneys. Those two are going to do the heavy lifting for filtering the toxins out of our body. And there's just no strong research that suggests detox programs remove toxins better or beyond what a healthy diet and lifestyle will already do for you. And they can actually bring more risk than reward because most detoxes are typically very restrictive, leave you feeling crummy, lacking in the nutrition that your body needs. And then other cleanses, detox programs could actually potentially be harmful to your health. We found that, not all companies are super transparent with what's in their proprietary blends, what's actually in there. So they could actually be harmful to your health and you wouldn't even know. So, what you could do instead to support your body's own detox methods is again eating that balanced diet, focus on your whole foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, getting in that lean protein, support your body's natural detox process, support your liver function. You can fight off that oxidative stress. I also want to stress drinking lots of water. That's going to help us detox and cleanse. That's going to help your kidneys flush out waste effectively, help with your digestion. And then lastly, exercise. So at least down here in the South, it's starting to warm up. Get outside, get a good sweat. That's going to help support your built-in detox system. And might I mention it's all free. So don't waste your money on these fat and detox and cleanse systems because people just really don't need them.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next up is Beth. Well, thank you for joining us today, Beth. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Beth Letter. I'm a registered dietitian. I am the regional nutrition manager for the West region. I cover about 6 states at this point. I actually started with Cura 9 years ago. I started off as a clinical dietitian in a building, and then I was promoted to this position in 2017.
Great. So, one of the myths that we hear a lot is that fresh produce is always better than frozen produce. What are your thoughts on that?
So the simple answer is no. Fresh isn't always better, but there are definite benefits to both. When we're talking about fresh, obviously when it's in season, the produce is usually more affordable than when it's out of season. If you're going to buy locally fresh produce, it's likely to be more nutrient dense. The fresh produce can be taste fresher, have better texture, and definitely have more flavor. And it's a lot easier to grab potentially like a fresh apple or carrots than to have to thaw a frozen fruit or heat up a frozen vegetable. But when you want to talk about benefits of the frozen produce, we know that that produce is picked when it's definitely at its best quality or ripeness, and they're flash frozen promptly, so the nutrients are preserved. Fresh produce is usually more cost effective, and that's for the whole year. You can store frozen produce for months without fearing of it going bad. And then there's always that convenience of having frozen produce readily available in your freezer. The other nice option with frozen fruits and vegetables is even when they're out of season, you may be able to have access to them. So let's just say you want mangoes in the winter and pumpkin in the summer. That's usually readily available. So really to compare like fresh versus frozen, the major differences between the two are, with fresh produce, when you're talking about the travel after harvest, oxidation and deterioration of nutrients are likely to occur, where with that frozen produce that is harvested, it's quickly frozen to preserve those nutrients. You can also keep frozen produce, like we talked about, a little bit longer in your freezer than you can keep fresh produce, let's say on your counter or in your refrigerator. And then frozen produce may provide more options year-round versus that fresh, unless it's in season. And then when it's out of season, we know that it's potentially going to be more costly. So really, in the end, it's been found that, antioxidants and the nutrient contents are very similar between fresh and frozen. I think, either one is going to be a great choice. We just want to be sure everyone is eating their fruits and vegetables.
So, and thank you for your insight on that. I think, you summed it up great with the takeaway of eating fruits and vegetables is better than not eating them. So whether it's fresh or frozen, you'll always be good to go as long as you're consuming them.
Right.
If we switch gears a little bit, another myth we hear is that, you need to take some kind of supplementation, some kind of supplement to be healthy. Is that true?
So the dietitian in me says no. If you eat a healthy, balanced diet, you're obviously going to get everything that you need. However, we know that most people don't eat a healthy or balanced diet consistently, so they use supplements to meet their vitamin and mineral recommendations. While some vitamins or supplements can be helpful, when it comes to supplements versus food, obviously a whole food, plant-based, colorful diet is best. I think one of the big things with supplements is that our bodies just don't typically absorb nutrients in supplements the same way that they're going to absorb them when you're eating it as a whole food. When we're eating, we're not consuming single nutrients. Instead, we're consuming vitamins, minerals, enzymes, carbohydrates, and proteins, and that all works together in your body. Food also contains other components that help our bodies use those things more efficiently. With a supplement, we know that it's absorbed, depending on how the quality of the supplement, potentially what our current diet is, what our gut health looks like, and we really don't know how much is absorbed and how much is flushed out of our bodies. I think another benefit of eating a whole food diet versus taking a supplement is that you're consuming your nutrient intakes over the course of an entire day versus getting that daily recommended allowance in a pill, a gummy, or whatever form of supplement that you're taking. Food allows your body proper time to digest and utilize those nutrients instead of trying to digest and absorb a supplement with all the nutrients just that one time a day. We do know, however, that there are certain health conditions that may require the use of supplements. For instance, if you're a vegan, you're likely not meeting your vitamin B12 requirements, as there's no plant source for B12, so you'd likely need to take a B12 vitamin. If you have bone loss and need calcium and vitamin D to help slow that progression. If you're pregnant, folic acid may be recommended to lower the risk of fetal development. After gastric bypass surgery, poor absorption is common of vitamin B12, vitamin D, and iron, so you may need supplements for that. If you have kidney failure that makes it difficult for your body to absorb nutrients, or if you have Crohn's or celiac disease, you may also have difficulty absorbing certain nutrients. Obviously, there's many more conditions where a supplement's appropriate, but there's also potential side effects of taking supplements. Some of these side effects include nausea, vomiting, headaches, constipation, and sleepiness. And then there's obviously more severe long-term side effects that could include liver or nervous system damage, decreased bone strength, increased risk of bleeding, and reduced effectiveness of chemotherapy. These are just a few examples, but there's also a risk of drug interactions with certain prescribed medications that you should definitely discuss with a doctor or nurse practitioner before taking any kind of supplement. The bottom line is whole food diet is best, but if needed, a supplement may be appropriate based on certain conditions like I mentioned. The goal is to try to eat a balanced, colorful diet, and then ideally, you will be meeting your vitamin and mineral needs naturally instead of having to take a supplement.
Awesome. Thank you. My next guest is Kim. Thank you for joining us, Kim. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Kim Case. I'm fairly new to Cura Hospitality, but I've been a registered dietitian for 25 years. I guess that's about
Awesome.
it.
So, you know, one of the myths that we hear a lot is that eating carbohydrates make you gain weight. Can you tell us your thoughts on that statement?
Okay. Okay, I believe that weight gain is not due to carbs themselves, but from an overconsumption of any type of food, whether whatever type of food that may be. Carbs are important part of the healthy diet. There's two broad categories of carbs, simple and complex. We do want to limit the simple carbs, which are just simple sugars that can be found in high concentrations in sodas, honey, syrups, sport and energy drinks, donuts, pastries, cookies, and cakes. These are just considered empty calorie foods, meaning they offer low nutritional value and they're low in vitamins and minerals. And then you have your complex carbs that are plant based foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and they're loaded with fiber and vitamins and minerals and those things that we need. So the goal is to aim to eat a lot of those complex whole grain foods which are less processed and contain more fiber that makes you feel fuller longer. So that's an important key to maintaining a healthy weight. And that's kind of my
Awesome.
take on carbs.
Awesome. And the other myth that we're going to jump into is kind of similar and related, but it turns out that some people think that you know eating fat will make you a little heavier and gain weight. Do you think that's true?
Okay, so I do not think that's true. I believe fat fat itself doesn't make you fat because we gain weight when we eat in excess of our needs. So whether that excess comes from protein, carbs, fats, from a weight management standpoint, fat makes food taste good. And when we eat it, we feel more satisfied and wind up craving and eating less food later on. So, in fact, getting adequate amounts of healthy fats in your diet may make your managing weight easier in the long run. Um, so, from a health and wellness standpoint, fat is needed to help our bodies maintain certain fat soluble vitamins to absorb those, including vitamins A, D, E, and K. And so, fat's a a macronutrient. And so the quality of the fat we eat matters. So, like healthy sources of fat can include like avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds, grass-fed beef, fatty fish, and those fats that we need to limit or avoid are those trans fats, and those are found in processed and packaged foods like cakes and cookies, chips, crackers, and it can be this is the kind of fat that is terrible for our hearts, and it raises our bad LDL cholesterol and it lowers our good HDL cholesterol. So, really, the recommendation is to just choose whole food sources and to check labels for those lurking trans fats.
Awesome. So it sounds like moderation is key.
Yes, yes, really for both, you know, fats and carbs, and choosing the better options.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank y'all.
And my final guest is Joe. Thank you for joining us today, Joe. Why don't we start by having you introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Michael. Thank you for asking me to do this. I'm Joe Herman. I am a regional nutrition manager for Cura Hospitality. I did go to King's College in Wilkes-Barre. I graduated a very long time ago. I got a BS in biology. Then I went to Marywood and got my graduate degree and became a dietitian in 1991. I've been a dietitian for 34 years and worked in food service for about 42 years. And I've worked with Cura Hospitality for almost 28 years, and every day is an adventure in a
Well,
good way.
I'm sure it is. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we are going to start with, one of the myths that I hear a lot, and that is that, you should avoid eating gluten. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, the truth is that most people without a diagnosed celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, there's no reason to avoid gluten. It is not harmful, it can be part of a healthy diet, and will not cause any negative health effects. If for some reason you think you have any type of gluten sensitivity, it's critical to consult a healthcare professional for proper testing before eliminating any gluten from your diet. Now, for those who might need a little refresher on gluten, it's a protein found in many grains, including wheat, barley, rye, and oatmeal, unless the label states that it's gluten-free. It's extremely important to make sure that everybody knows how to read labels properly. I do the same thing. If somebody asks me in a client location, does this product have gluten in it? I actually look for the manufacturer's box to look for the label, because some products do and some products don't, even though it could be, say, breaded chicken breast. One might be a gluten-free product on that chicken breast. So it's important to make sure that you're reading the label. Common foods such as bread, pasta, pizza, and cereal, they contain gluten. And it's also important to note that gluten provides no essential nutrients. What happens with people with celiac disease, they have an immune reaction that's triggered by eating gluten. They develop inflammation and damage in their intestinal tracts and other parts of their body when they eat foods containing gluten. Interesting enough that only 1% of the population actually has this condition, and it's estimated that 20 to 30% of the U.S. population does follow some type of gluten-free diet. So if you have celiac disease, a gluten-free diet is necessary to eliminate that inflammation and the symptoms. Grocery stores and restaurants routinely offer gluten-free options that rival our conventional foods in taste and quality. In past years, it was much harder to maintain a gluten-free diet than it is today. So, as mentioned, people with celiac disease avoid sickness and maintain much better health if they follow a gluten-free diet. It is a must for them to follow gluten-free. And then like I said, there was some people that have a gluten sensitiveness to when they have gluten. And there's tests for celiac disease that they have. And whenever they eat gluten-free containing foods, these people with either celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, they would experience some symptoms like diarrhea, abdomen pain, weight loss, poor appetite, bloating, or feeling full. They could have a rash that's itchy, and some children actually have some delay in growth. And there are reliable tests to diagnose celiac disease. There's genetic testing, blood tests that detect certain antibodies, and intestinal biopsies as well. So in summary, avoiding gluten-free makes sense for the people with celiac disease, wheat allergy, and those who feel unwell whenever they consume gluten.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And now that I know that I could continue to eat my gluten, this next one is a little near and dear to me, because I may have to change some behavioral aspects of my life. But late night eating, I know I tend to do this at times, but does eating late at night cause weight gain? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, well, this is going to be a mixed answer. So originally it was no, but we're going to go through why my answer is sort of not fixed here. So again, when someone's on a diet, any type of diet or eating pattern, everybody's an individual. So what happens to you, Michael, versus what happens to me, we could do the same exact thing. One may work and one may not work for us. So we're all different. But conventional wisdom today is that a calorie is a calorie, regardless of when you eat it, and that what causes the weight gain is simply eating more calories than you burn. Now, when we went to school, we heard that a lot. So nutritional experts call this the calorie in and the calorie out theory of weight control. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Weight Control Information Network says it does not matter what time of day you eat it. It is what and how much you eat and how much physical activity you do during the whole day that determines whether you gain, lose, or maintain your weight. Still, there are some good reasons to be cautious about eating at night. For those of us who read diet books, listen to dietitians, including myself, I actually recommend not eating after dinner other than a small calorie-controlled snack because it's just easy to overdo it. Now, it all depends on, where that individual is at and what goals they have if they need to lose weight. Now, some of us eat at night for a variety of reasons that are often have little to do with hunger or satisfy any craving. Sometimes it's boredom. Sometimes it's stress. Sometimes you have after dinner snacks that tend to be, they're not controlled. You're eating in front of the TV. You don't pay attention to the portions you're eating. You're eating high calorie foods like ice cream, chips, cookies, candy. All that stuff just adds up. So it's easy to consume a lot, like I said, without even realizing it. And so you have all these extra calories. You're eating too close to bedtime. It could actually cause some indigestion. If anybody has any problems with reflux or GERD, that's not good to eat late at night. And you could also have some sleeping problems. So all these things, I would say, just depends on the individual. But there's nothing wrong with eating a light, healthy snack after dinner. As long as you plan for it, it's part of your daily calories, and you keep from overeating and pay attention to your food while eating and avoid eating in front of the TV. Again, you want to choose a portion control snack. They have those some of those snack bags that are like 100-calorie snacks. Small servings of popcorn, low-fat yogurt or fruit are all good options. I would definitely stay away from anything fried, greasy, probably even chocolate, maybe anything with tomatoes like pizza. So when I went to grad school many moons ago, eating at night has long been associated with weight gain. At least that's what I was told then. So we might remember Adele Davis. She gave us that well-known advice to eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. I'm sure you remember that, Michael. I definitely do. But it's not enough to think about what you eat to maintain a healthy weight when you eat the time of day. There was a small randomized control trial that was done in October of 2022 online by the Cell Metabolism. It says that eating later in the day increased subjects' hunger, decreased the number of calories they burned, and promoted fat storage. Over time, this did lead to weight gain. So while it won't hurt to have an occasional late supper, try not to make it a habit. When you're trying to lose weight, eat regular meals and consume 90% of your calories before. I would say 7 o'clock. If it's earlier, the better. It's always good to give your gut some rest. And the benefit of eating meals every 3 to 4 hours also helps regulate your blood sugar and thus control hunger and cravings. So, Michael, the bottom line is more research is needed to determine whether calories eaten at night are more likely to cause weight gain than those eating early in the day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. It makes me feel a little bit better about myself and my habits. And thank you for all your insights.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad I could be part of this.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence. And a big thank you to Emily, Beth, Tim, and Joe for joining me today and sharing their expertise. We hope you found our discussion on nutrition myths insightful and engaging.
Since 1996, Cura has specialized in serving life plan communities, behavioral health, and acute care facilities. Cura creates dining service programs specific to each client's needs, taking the worry of guest safety and satisfaction, employee development, and operational and fiscal challenges off our clients' plates. As our clients' needs evolve, so do we. We are a company of experienced dining service professionals that is part of Elior North America. Together, we are small enough to care and big enough to make a difference. Thank you for listening to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence, and we hope you will visit us at curahospitality.com to learn more about how we nurture well-being with every meal we serve.